Welcome to Real Estate Investing Abundance, the show for busy, fulfilled professionals like you to learn how to develop financial independence built on solid, passive real estate investments. Now, here is your host, Dr. Alan Lomax.
Hello, enlightened investors. Happy to be back with you again today. I'm your host, Dr. Alan. I know you'll enjoy today's show, and I have a big ask that will only take a moment of your time. Ratings and reviews are the lifeblood of our podcast. To leave a review and a rating, iPhone or other Apple iOS device users, go to Apple Podcasts or iTunes. For all you non-Apple device users, go to podchasers.com. On either site, search for Real Estate Investing Abundance. Once you find us, leave both a review and a rating. Subscriptions are also vital to the show's success, so please be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. It's free to subscribe, and you can unsubscribe at any time. Enlightened investors, happy to be back with you today. I'm your host, Dr. Alan. If this is your first time tuning in, I know you're going to find great value today. Are you perhaps a busy professional, passionate about the work of your calling, but you've come to realize that to develop financial independence, you're going to have to do something besides the work that you're currently doing? If you can identify with this, I've got great news. Steed Talker Capital is an investment company designed for passionate, fulfilled professionals like you to help you develop financial independence built on solid, passive real estate investments. We have created an enlightened investor circle, so just go to our website, steedtalker.com, and enroll in our enlightened investor circle, and there you will receive education and support for your passive real estate investing goals, no matter your level of experience and expertise. Today, our guest takes us on a journey from the safe but stressful W-2 job to real estate investing abundance. As a school teacher, he took the risk of growing a real estate investment portfolio that allowed him to leave his secure teaching job. He is now involved in over 1,000 doors in markets across the USA. Since leaving his teaching job, he has successfully started 2 other businesses, a podcast, The Cash Flow Kings, and a virtual assistance business. Please welcome Frank Patalano. Frank, before we delve into the business of real estate investing, share a memorable experience from your formative years that helped you to be the person you are today.
Thank you for having me. When I was an early teenager, we lived in upstate New York, and one of the things I remember doing was dragging a big wooden table down to the end of our driveway and selling baseball cards right on the main road. And it was Fast Frank's sports cards. And that's why I love doing business stuff today, whether it's real estate or just about anything.
Well, a fantastic beginning for an entrepreneur there. Well, Frank, you have this saying, our salary is the bribe that gives us the ability to forget our dreams. What does that mean to you?
So while we are all working, sometimes you get to the point where you're like, wow, I wish I had done this instead. And that salary that you're getting paid every 2 weeks or every week or every month, that's basically holding you back from taking that risk and going out there and trying something new and trying something that you might love. I mean, you know, a lot of the people that listen to your podcast here are professionals, and sometimes they tell themselves they love their job, and sometimes they really do. Other times it's that salary that just keeps telling them, stay there, stay there.
Yeah, that can happen. And we see a lot of people in various different professions. I've been in higher education for some 30 years now, and I do love what I am doing, but I have certainly seen people who have reached burnout long before they reach retirement, and yet they continue on tormenting themselves and their students. And that truly is a sad, sad place to be. Well, you were a teacher. What did you teach?
So I taught history for 17 years in a middle school, 6th and 7th grade, some ancient, some American, a little bit of geography, stuff like that. I loved the kids. What was stressful was some of the politics and the administration and stuff like that. You know, some things that they can control, but some things that they just couldn't, just by the way policies are today.
Yeah, I taught before getting into higher education. I actually taught in middle school and high school. And unlike you, I did not like the kids. So It was good for me when I moved on to higher education because I do love students.
What subject were you teaching?
I was teaching visual arts and vocal music, and I loved the visual arts and the music and did not like the kids. So.
I was singing with my youngest daughter last night. So.
Oh, wonderful. Great. Excellent. Well, you started your investment career while you were teaching, and you think that building an investment portfolio can be done while you're working, and that's pretty much what you did, even though there was a risk when you left. But tell us, how do you start investing?
So the market's a little different right now than it was when I was investing, and it'll go up and down. But basically, my wife, who's still choosing to teach, we both were generating income. And there's so many different things you can do with the income. You could splurge and get great vacations and beautiful hot cars every single year or two. You could donate it. You could do a bunch of different things with it. And we weren't big spenders. So I decided that why don't we start investing this for the future? And basically, I looked at stocks. I looked at real estate. I looked at a few other things too. But I really enjoyed the concept and the leverage and the tax benefits to real estate.
There certainly are some differences between real estate investing and stocks, but a lot of people think that the stock market is the place to go. A lot of people, I don't understand these people, but they think that's a much more secure investment than real estate. So since you've had the experience of both stocks and real estate, tell us why you have gone the real estate route.
So I'll give you a few examples real quick. The first one is Walmart. If you buy a share of Walmart stock, no matter what you do, you can only spend so much money at Walmart. To really influence the stock price is virtually impossible. But at the same point, if you buy a piece of real estate, there's so many different ways that you can improve the value of it, not just for long-term wealth, but even if you were just flipping the house, fixing it up and selling it quickly. Another quick difference between stocks and real estate is that if you have 2 shares of Coca-Cola, the 2 shares are exactly the same and they're worth the same amount of money. But you could have 2 houses in the same street and they can look pretty much the same on the outside, but they can be vastly different on how much profit you can make from them in so many ways. So there's a number of reasons why real estate is better than stocks. For me personally, stocks are definitely easier in some ways. You can buy and sell it at your desk if you want, and you don't have to sit there and worry about it. But at the same point, there are ways to do that in real estate as well. I mean, one of the benefits is that there are properties that I own parts of that I've never been to. I don't know the tenants. Even in my local market, I was telling a story that there was a 2-family that we flipped a few years ago, a duplex, and I had never actually set foot on the property and definitely did not know the tenants. I had a property management team that took care of everything, and we sold it in 2 years, and I made a good amount of money, so I can't complain.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things in real estate, and from an extraordinarily passive perspective to a very, very active perspective. And so many people don't realize the difference between active and passive real estate investing. And from what I understand, you have done both boots on the ground investing, and you are also invested in a number of quite passive investments. Explain the difference between the two.
Sure. So on the active side, I never really physically lifted the hammer, but I would go out and I would be negotiating with someone to purchase a property. I'd be actively going to see the properties, getting quotes, doing some property management, collecting tenants' rent, usually just through my P.O. box, but sometimes you'd have to go there if it was a different situation. And that's the active side of investing. You're much more involved in the day-to-day activities. I'm not saying that it's 24/7. I never had to go fix a toilet. I had connections or people on staff or just signed up with that, hey, if there's a problem, can you take care of this? Because, like you said, I was working a full-time job and a part-time job. And being active in real estate as well is a little tough. You know, you still have to sign contracts and get things done. So I definitely was and still am doing some active deals here or there. The passive side is definitely a lot easier. I have invested in some syndications in about 6 other markets that are completely passive. Basically, I sent them a check and now I get dividend checks and maybe a few emails just to give me updates. And then I also do some hard money lending here or there. That's a very passive investment as well. So so I like both, and I feel there's different risk factors. There's definitely different opportunities. There's different profit structures. I mean, with an active side, there's definitely more risk, but there's a higher reward, passive. You can still make good money. It just might not be as profitable as active.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. As an industry-leading, relationship-focused, design-build construction firm, Mosaic Construction has worked in many different asset classes from multifamily to retail, medical, industrial, and commercial. Mosaic Construction works to execute interior and exterior renovations with their team of trades and project managers. Their experience with value-add improvements has resulted in increased ROI and long-term value of the assets. They work nationally in partnership with local trades to deliver thoughtful, problem-solving construction management solutions to all their clients. For a personal, no-obligation consultation, call Ira Singer, 773-491-3145, or email Ira at mosaicconstruction.net. You can also find Ira on LinkedIn. Well, thank you for that explanation. And if we had time, I'm sure we could delve into it much, much deeper, but we'll do that on other podcasts here. For a person who wants to begin investing in real estate, how do you suggest that they begin that journey?
So obviously the first part would be education and just learning about real estate and some of the different ways to invest. I did a Bigger Pockets post a few years ago that went viral, and I asked people, what's holding you back in real estate? Why are you not involved? And basically I got down to the concept that everybody has to have a certain skill. That certain skill might be knowledge, or it might be time, or it might be capital. And those are the main thing. I call it the three-legged stool approach. So it sounds like most of the people that listen to your podcast might have a little bit of extra money they can set aside to invest. They might not have any time at all, and they might not have any education in real estate itself. Some might, but basically you got to figure out which one of those is your strongest skill and use that to your advantage, and find a team, build people around you that could do those other things. So as I was teaching, I didn't have a lot of time, and I definitely really didn't know a lot about being a contractor or some of the special skills involved in rehabbing. But I had enough cash. That was my strength, and I used that and found property management and people to work on properties to gradually grow.
So if the three-legged stool is the person's money, about how much money does it take to actually get started in real estate investing?
So it depends on how you're investing, and it depends on the market. For example, I am looking at a property north of us, about 4 hours north in a different state on Monday, and the purchase price for a triplex is $132,000.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
I didn't know those things existed.
Yeah. So it all depends on the area, and the rents are much lower than my own local market. I mean, in my local market, the purchase prices for the same thing would be around $325,000, but the rents would be higher as well. So if we take like a $300,000 purchase price, if you're buying something that's going to be non-owner occupied that you're going to rent out, you're probably going to need to put down 25%. So that would be about a $75,000 investment. Now, if you're going to partner with someone where you and somebody else work together to buy it, you might be able to get that down to, $40,000. That's just one type of investing. I mean, if you have less than that, I've seen syndications that have been less than that. I've invested $25,000 in a deal in Amarillo, Texas. They're building a brand new 50 unit. And I'm only a small, like 1% owner or something like that. But it allows me to be passively invested in a deal that somebody else is working to make money. I've had friends loan from their IRA. We have a commercial building that needed a new roof 2 years ago, and they had $22,000 sitting in their IRA, and they loaned it to me with hard money terms in order for me to put that roof on. So it could be small in that as well. It all depends. I'll tell you one thing: if someone is interested in real estate but does not own a house right now themselves, they really should be thinking about doing a house hack or an owner-occupied smaller multifamily, because you can buy those if you have decent credit as low as 3.5% down. So if you see a house that's $240,000, that's a duplex, you can buy that less than $10,000 you can put down.
Some of us may not know the terminology in terms of house hack. So what is a house hack?
Yeah, a house hack has been around for a long time. It's just more of a buzzword today. It's basically you owning a single family house or a multifamily house and you renting out the rest of it. You live in part of the residence. And then if it's a single family, you rent out other bedrooms to friends or family. And if it's a multifamily, you rent out the other units out. I feel that's, if you don't own a house, that's probably the best strategy for someone to get started right now. I have a friend who is a world traveler and she's right now in Germany, and she owns a triplex in Providence, and it's a place for her to always go back home to. And she lives on the first floor with a friend. So she rents out one bedroom to a friend on the first floor. She has a locked bedroom for herself whenever she needs to be home. And then the second and third floor are rented out to other people as well. So she basically has a guaranteed residence. She was able to buy it at a great price. Terms are amazing on those kind of properties. And it just works out very well for her.
It is an excellent idea. And that's actually how I began a long time ago, actually before they invented the term house hacking. And I was living on Guam, living and teaching on Guam. And I actually built a house in Colorado, and I built it specifically for a place for me to go to. And so I had a small living quarters and then was renting out the rest of that home. It worked out wonderfully. And it's a beautiful way to do it for anyone who has a W-2 job, because if you've got a W-2 job, you're going to be able to get conventional financing. And like you said, that 3% down payment, which is virtually nothing when you're looking at an investment there.
What's nice for me is that I have a few teachers who are worried about their retirement, because even though you have some kind of a quasi pension, depending on the state, some of that stuff is tightening up a little bit, and they've been changing some of the rules, whether you like it or not. So a few of my friends that are in their 60s and 70s basically bought one of those, and they're living in the main house, and then they have like an apartment over the garage, and it helps supplement their income. Just something small like that.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Would you ever invest all your money in a single stock? Very unlikely. Yet investors are willing to risk $50,000 to $100,000 in a single property in real estate all the time. Avestor is the world's first customizable real estate investment platform. Investors can build their own custom portfolios, selecting investments across multiple asset classes such as single-family homes, multifamily, student housing, self-storage, and shopping centers. You can also invest across multiple markets and different time frames. Avestor also enables other real estate entrepreneurs and syndicators to build and use Avestor's infrastructure and cloud platform to create their own customizable real estate funds. To learn more, visit us at avestorinc.com. Avestor, real estate investing made simple.
Right. An excellent way to go. Well, how do people get connected with these various different sources? It's not like a public offering on the stock market and you can just go on the internet and find sources to invest in. What we're talking about here are private investments. And so you've got to have some connections there. So where do you go about making those connections?
Sure. So it's a little hard with COVID and everything going on, but my biggest suggestion is to join some type of a local real estate investment group. And if there's not one locally, I would say to set one up yourself, just like almost like a mastermind group of you and a few friends who are going to get together and learn about it. But most of my luck has been through our local real estate investors group. Right now, it has over 350 members. It's an organization that's been around for solidly 15 years or so. And it's an educational group. So it's not like a big sell session. It was in person except for the last year. Right now, we still do 2 meetings a month on Zoom. And what's cool is we have like a beginner session one day a month, and then we have more advanced stuff. And it's just about knowledge, learning, networking, meeting other people that have needs. So I've met most of my lenders there. I've found plenty of deals through people in that group. I had a friend of mine who he's a lender, but he basically had a family property. So it's like one of his aunts. They really didn't want the house anymore. She was going into a nursing home and he needed to sell it to someone. He needed to sell it to someone that he knew he could trust that would get it done. And at the same point, he wasn't going to buy it because he didn't want to get involved with the family. So those kind of deals fall in your lap sometimes. You know, I had another one where somebody sold me a house, no money down. They just were sick of the tenants and they just wanted to get rid of it. And we got it for a good price. And we lucked out where the timing was in the market. But if you're out there every day, just, meeting people, or every week, trying to tell people that you're trying to get into real estate or this is what you have, people will come to you. I mean, I have phone calls every single day for people that either want to borrow money or offer me a deal or loan me money. You're out there.
Actually, I think COVID has actually given opportunities because just like your local organization is doing Zoom meetings, my local organization has put all of our meetings, and our organization has several meetings, we have, the total group meeting, we have that once a month, but we have about 6 or 7 other special interest groups a month, multifamily and mobile homes, and we have different breakouts for the different communities around the area. And those are all online now, and anybody can join them. Don't have to necessarily even be a member, although there's a fee for those who are not members, but there's a way anybody in the country can join those meetings. And I think a lot of organizations have been doing that. So actually, there's probably a lot of opportunities out there to get involved in real estate investment organizations.
I would agree. I just miss the personal touch sometimes.
Yes, that is an issue. You can't reach out and touch people, even though Ma Bell says you can. You really cannot do that.
But no, I mean, you are right. We've lucked out because of everything being on Zoom. We've been able to have some real national speakers talk about things that we wouldn't be able to have at other times because you have to fly them out. You probably have to take care of their expenses while they're here, do a nice dinner. Now, we send them a thank you or something, but that's, I mean, they get business out of it too. So it works out.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's worked out well for us in that regard too. Actually, we're planning to continue our online presence and actually do it from face-to-face meetings, but have the online component in conjunction with that. We'll see how that goes once all of this COVID stuff is over, but that is our plan for our local organization. Before we end up here, tell us about the aspect of goals and habits. Is that important to real estate investing?
So I would say that I was lucky enough to be relatively successful in real estate before I even built in any good goals or habits. But I gave a nice talk recently, and I gave people the idea that it took 10 years for me to hit that financial success, financial freedom goal. But if you have goals and habits and you work at them, you could easily do that so much faster. And what I did is I explained to people the concept of everybody has this goal of having this team of people that help them. And I would say build a habit to make that goal happen. So your habit might be 2 phone calls a week to people that you might want to have on your team. People have a goal of losing weight. Well, that's a nice goal, but you have to really build habits into making that happen. Okay, maybe getting on the treadmill half an hour each and every day. People always say they want to read so many books, but you got to set a habit. What are you going to do on the daily? Kind of like daily goals instead of the word habit. What are you going to do on the daily in order to get that and be successful?
Enlightened investors will be right back after this important announcement. I have a big ask that will only take a moment of your time. Ratings and reviews are the lifeblood of our podcast. So to leave a review, iPhone or other Apple iOS device users, go to Apple Podcasts or iTunes. For all you non-Apple device users, go to podchasers.com. On either platform, search for Real Estate Investing Abundance. Once found, please leave a review and a rating. Subscriptions are also vital to our show's success, so please be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. It is free to subscribe, and you can unsubscribe at any time. So break those big goals down into monthly goals, weekly goals, and daily goals. Is that the advice?
Yeah. Basically, yeah. When I say habits, I'm talking mostly daily goals.
Daily goals, and measurable, and hold yourself accountable. Well, before we go into our last segment, share with our viewers and listeners how they can connect with you.
Thank you. So we're all over social media. Like I said, we have a real estate podcast. It's called The Cash Flow Kings. I don't know the age of your listeners, but if you have a few people on Instagram, we are just under 14,000 followers on there. And we post each and every day some kind of fun real estate content, which is always really cool. I have virtual assistant business. We have VAs from 3 countries right now. If you need help in your real estate journey, if you need people to do social media for you, if you need a full-time secretary, we have a Real Agent Helper. So we're all over social media with that as well. Basically, I'm just about everywhere: LinkedIn, Facebook, Frank Patalano.
Well, we'll have that information in our show notes, but that is Frank Patalano, and you can find him on social media and just do an internet search. You will find him. Well, Frank, share with us one of the most difficult setbacks in your life. And this is not necessarily connected with your real estate business, and often it is not. And how did you come through that experience, and what did you learn from it?
So I'm glad you said it was not going to be real estate. It didn't have to be real estate related, because originally I was thinking of some good real estate ones, but this one's even more personal. My dad was older when he had me. He had me when he was actually 56 years old. So he died when I was 17, in between my junior and senior year. And it greatly affected my life in many ways. It actually talked me into going into teaching instead of that entrepreneurial risk-taking path. What he always wanted me, he was a former police officer, and had that safe, secure job mentality. And honor his memory, I decided to get that education and get that safe, secure job, and that's why I went into teaching. But after I started to be successful at teaching and generating income, I was able to do some of that more of that dream stuff that I really wanted to do, which was that entrepreneurial stuff. And now what's cool is that I can still do a little bit of both. I can still basically teach real estate as much as I want and as much as people need. And it's been very beneficial to me. I get to walk my twins. I have twin 10-year-old boy, girl. I walk them to school every morning. It's a little rainy this morning, so we took the car, but it was fun to do that. I'm able to pick up my 14-year-old daughter. She wants to be in every single sport. She's like, Daddy, can you pick me up? I said, anything you want to do, we'll try to make it happen. So those are the kind of things that you're able to do when you don't have that regular 9 to 5.
Well, that leads us into this next question. What in your life are you most grateful for?
I am most grateful for the free time I have, my own children and my wife, of course, and just living in a great country that allows us to have an entrepreneurial drive.
Well, how are you putting your success as an investor and entrepreneur to work to create universal well-being and abundance for all beings?
That's a good question. So one of the things that I did early on was in some of our rentals, we started out with just buying properties, and I couldn't believe how high the rents were. And what we were able to do is, because we bought some of them cheap enough, we were able to rent them below market. And my goal was to find someone that really needed a leg up. And they were working hard. They might have had just 1 or 2 things happen to them in life, but they were trying very hard to be successful themselves. And I was able to rent them a space, and some of them I became close friends with. 1 or 2, I've even sold them a property that they own now themselves. And we like to help others in that way. We help others with education. I help people. I actually have a former student that called me this morning. I taught him, probably 12 or 13 years ago. So now he's in his mid-20s. And he loves real estate, but more importantly, he just got his contractor license. And besides the fact that I've helped him talk about and look at real estate over the years, I'm going to try to help him by supporting his business as well.
Some excellent things that you're doing there. It's always nice to reconnect with students that we were with many, many years ago. Well, Frank, imagine that you have come to the end of your life, and as you lay on your deathbed, what do you look back on as your greatest joy and your sense of fulfillment?
My greatest joy is having 3 great kids that can be independent and successful. They're all hardworking. And while you yell at them once in a while and you might chew them out and you have high expectations for them, you want them to have a life better than you've had.
Absolutely. Well, Frank, that brings us to the end of our show here. And I do thank you for joining us today and for sharing your journey from W-2 to real estate investment, abundance, and success.
Thank you for tuning in to Real Estate Investing Abundance, brought to you by Steve Talker Capital, a company working for passionate professionals like you to develop financial independence built on solid, passive real estate investments. As part of our efforts to make the world a better place, Steve Talker Capital contributes to activities and organizations committed to better understand the equine. These endeavors attempt to enhance the human treatment of horses worldwide. Steve Talker Capital, working for a world where all creatures, great and small, flourish abundantly. For resources to develop your financial independence, connect with us at stevetalker.com.